When I was in my 20s, Father showed me a small black and white photograph of himself that I had never seen before. He placed it in the palm of my hand as we sat together in the living room of my childhood home outside Washington, D.C. It had been taken in China in 1953. His eyes glimmered, and his skin had none of the lines of age. He wore a plain military uniform and a cap. I ran a finger over a darkened spot in the center of the cap. A shadow there. Father said that's where the red star had been, the symbol of the People's Liberation Army of China. After he mailed the photo to his father in the British colony of Hong Kong, his father rubbed out the star, fearful of what the authorities might do if they saw it. Father got the photo back after he left China and reunited with his parents in Hong Kong. He brought it with him when he moved to America, this keepsake of the revolution. I am the son of two empires. I was born in Washington and grew up in Alexandria, Virginia, a suburb along the Potomac River, when there was talk of the Cold War and containing communism and preventing nuclear Armageddon. Those were the years of Nixon to Reagan, an arc when global politics was dominated by a titanic struggle between agents of two ideologies, or rather, two systems of power. The Berlin Wall fell in my final year of high school. Radio DJs played Wind of Change by the Scorpions. The Soviet Union dissolved, and America became unrivaled in the world. We talked about these events in my household and in classrooms and schoolyards, and I read about them in newspapers, which seemed to me, with their correspondents in Washington, New York, and far-flung world capitals, to be chroniclers of the American century. There was a surviving communist power in the world, one that was more obscure to most Americans but better known to me. China, the motherland. My parents were village children in the South as the nation tried to repel Japanese invaders in the Second World War. But there was no peace after the surrender of Japan. A civil war between the ruling nationalists and the rebellious communists reignited. Mao Zedong and his Red Army won, forcing the nationalists to retreat to the island of Taiwan. In 1950, Father was in the first class from his high school to graduate into a China governed by the Communist Party. The zeal for realizing the revolution, for building up the People's Republic, burned in the hearts of citizens. Father went north to Beijing for university. On October 1st, 1950, the one-year anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic, Father marched with soldiers, workers, and students in front of Mao, who stood waving to them atop Tiananmen, the gate of heavenly peace. They believed Mao would lead China in reclaiming its past glory and standing up to American imperialism. That fall, the American military advanced against North Korean and Chinese soldiers on the Korean Peninsula. The Communist Party exhorted all citizens to aid in the war effort, warning that the American army could march into northeast China and onward to Beijing. Father enlisted in the People's Liberation Army. He spent most of the next decade on the frontiers, as his military career took surprising turns. He went to corners of the country that the vast majority of Chinese have never laid eyes on, places of beauty and of strife. He trained for the Air Force in Manchuria near the Korean front. Then he spent years in Xinjiang, the northwest region that is home to Turkic-speaking Muslims, the Uyghurs and Kazakhs, a land that rulers in Beijing have sought for centuries to control. Father saw the extent of the Chinese empire, and he witnessed Mao's efforts to resurrect its power. I knew nothing about those parts of Father's life when I was growing up. I sometimes watched him put on a red blazer and black pants to go to work at Champagne Cafe, a Chinese restaurant. For decades, this was the only uniform that I associated with him, until he showed me the portrait of himself that he had sent to his father while he was in the army. He is not someone who revealed much. What sharing there was didn't come naturally. On nights he came home early, he didn't sit on the edge of my bed regaling me with stories, ones about his life or even made-up ones. He had only Sundays off, but he disappeared every other Sunday to do bookkeeping at a take.